Hi, I'm Henrietta Burroughs. I'm the founder and executive director of the East Palo Alto Center for Community Media, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. I'm here today with two of my colleagues to talk about the center's Stop the Hate media campaign, which is funded by the state of California and administered by the California State Library. The two who are here with me are first Tonga Victoria Fakalata, who is a first-generation Tongan American who grew up in East Palo Alto, California. She describes herself as having a passion for writing, design, and social impact. My second colleague is Yuuki Nishida, who is a journalist based in Boston, Massachusetts. He has a Master of Science degree in media advocacy from Northeastern University, and he comes from Saipan and the Northern Mariana Islands. So Saipan is separate from the Northern Mariana Islands, right, Yuuki? Or is it the city of Saipan?
More like the island of Saipan, a part of the Northern Mariana
Ah,
Islands.
okay.
Yes,
Thanks for the
but
clarification.
Saipan is a part of the Northern Mariana Islands.
Okay, terrific. We're informed. um, so talk about why you think our Stop the Hate media campaign is important. Tonga Victoria, why don't I start with you?
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Henrietta, for having me in today's space, and thank you for bringing me on to really contribute to this important topic around Asian American Pacific Islander hate, and just the wider hate that we're seeing in society. Really, the reason why I wanted to be a part of this campaign was to shed light on the communities that are impacted, especially post COVID, by the hate, the media that is being propagated within our most popular social media platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and really being able to capture what is happening on that end and bringing it to the grassroots level and why it matters and why we should care. As you mentioned, I am East Palo Alto born and bred, so I do have a dog in this fight, as well as being Pacific Islander. And so some of the topics that I am going to be covering are around reconciliation, restoration, and then just the history around hate, violence within the Pacific Islander community.
Terrific. Yuuki, why do you think our Stop the Hate media campaign is important? What does it mean for you?
I think for me personally, I truly am sort of an advocate for learning about the histories of our people. And I think that in order to truly, I guess, like grapple with the current issues that are happening today, we have to understand sort of the history and the context behind these issues because a lot of them stem from systemic and historical issues that have been going on long before all of us. And so for me, really understanding the historical context within the Asian American Pacific Islander community is really important to understand. I think it's really important to really understand the context and for us to reconcile with what's going on and what's been happening to our communities.
Well, it's great to know what this means to the two of you and the work that we are doing, which is an ongoing effort for all of us. We've integrated into this campaign a series of articles and television interviews. We'll be doing artwork. We're soliciting the youth from our community to get involved too. We are publishing 4-page pullout features in the East Palo Alto newspaper and doing interviews on my show, Talking with Henrietta. So, Tonga Victoria, you have some articles in our upcoming edition, which is our winter 2023 issue of the East Palo Alto Today newspaper. Why don't you give us a brief summary of the articles that you've written?
Sure. So as mentioned, excuse me, I have two articles that will be published in this upcoming edition. One of the articles is around just the general Asian American Pacific Islander Stop AAPI hate campaign that was rolled out in 2021. And really the premise of the article is to focus on whether or not this is a Pacific Islander issue. Of course, Asian American hate crimes were something that we saw on the national front as well as within our local communities. And I argue, well, not argue because it's not an argumentative paper, but I do shed light on the statistics on whether or not this is an issue that should be prioritized for the Pacific Islander community, and really points to the broader issue around the AAPI acronym. One example that I will touch on without giving too much about the article is that the national report that was revealed and published to the public came out in 2021, and there were over 9,000 incidents that were reported, and only 18 of those incidents were reported by those that identified as Pacific Islander or Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders. And that is just a glimpse of really the pulse of hate crimes within Pacific Islanders. I do think that hate crimes are an issue. There are other issues such as immigration, such as housing, unemployment, that are more important for us right now. My second article is around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when diversity, equity, and inclusion training is shifting into the workplace, into corporate America, does the existing framework of DEI get watered down because of the capitalistic bottom lines that need to be met just by the nature of corporate America? And so kind of exploring what that looks like, and really excited to see what that will come to be in the upcoming articles, as it will be a series. So those are the two articles you can expect to read.
Now, Tonga Victoria, I'd like to go back and make a clarification, because we're talking about hate crimes and what we can do to prevent them. And it is a priority issue. And I think as we talk about hate crimes, we can talk about diversity, equity, inclusion. We can talk about unemployment, because these are all factors that are part of why there is the hate crime violence. And I think that's a very important clarification that we need to make, because that's why we're doing all of this work, to see what we can do to address the hate crime issue and to reduce the amount of hate crimes. So, Yuuki, why do you think, well, first of all, tell us about the work that you'll be doing. Can you hear Yuuki? Are you still with us? It seems that Yuuki might be frozen. Well, Yuuki has a problem, it seems, with his internet. So, Tonga Victoria, you talked about your two issues, and you're with us, Yuuki? Can you hear us? We can't hear you, Yuuki. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Tell us about what you're doing. For a moment there, it seemed you were frozen and we didn't hear anything from you.
My internet is still unstable. Please forgive me. I think I'm back now.
Yes, you are. Fantastic. So talk about the work that you'll be doing on our campaign.
Yes. So what I'm really interested in exploring through this campaign, and I spoke a little bit about this earlier, was looking at sort of the historical context and really diving deep into the research and history that goes into sort of the Stop Asian Hate, Stop AAPI Hate movement, and sort of trace it back to what it to American imperialism and colonialism in the Asia Pacific region, and being very specific and with the language that I want to use. Also within this campaign, I also want to look at different communities within the AAPI bubble or umbrella, I should say, just because it's such a diverse diaspora full of different types of communities, and even like within the AAPI community, there are different types of problems and systemic issues that they are facing. And so I really want to look at different communities within the AAPI, specifically looking at Pacific Island communities and how the federal government is taking as and tied to how federal government is taking land, namely in native Hawaii, from native Hawaiians, and also looking at Pacific Islanders in my hometown of the Northern Mariana Islands, and how the U.S. military is having a very ever-growing presence, and really thinking about what types of violence each of these communities are facing, and sort of tying it together through this long history and understanding of like what hate has been looking like for these communities.
Sure. Talk too, since you're talking about it, about the form that we'll be doing, that we'll be sending out to the youth to involve them in our campaign.
Yeah, of course. And while we are definitely dealing with a very heavy topic, and how on like specifically targeted racial hate crimes, we also wanted to think about about solutions, and really looking into our youth and seeing what their visions are for stopping AAPI hate, and really getting them to creatively think and use their creative outlets to imagine a world where we can stop racial hate crimes, where we can imagine a world where they are in harmony with their communities and with everyone that they're with. And so with this youth art submission form, we really want to tap into our younger communities and ask them, like, what does stopping API hate look to you? What do you want your future to look like? And really have them, think creatively and celebrate their imaginations, because they are our futures after all, and really get them to think about what kind of future they want to carve out for themselves.
Terrific. Tonga Victoria, do you want to say anything more in terms of our approach to the youth and the surveys that we'll be doing, or we are doing?
Yeah, sure. I think one thing I wanted to add is that on the local front, especially within our communities in East Palo Alto, we do deal with a lot of discrimination, a lot of hate, not just within the Asian American community, not just within the Pacific Islander community, but just being a historically Black community, being a community where a lot of immigrants have been able to find sanctuary in. My family is included in that. Being able to really define what reconciliation might look like for us, because in a place where there is so much diversity, there is also a lot of harm, because there's a lot of misunderstanding. And so for this campaign, as someone who has served the youth, I would like to see a lot of our, not just youth, but also our young adults, and even our elders to really speak into that space of reconciliation. How do we live within our neighborhoods that look vastly different, racially, economically, culturally, and how can we build a space, just what Yuuki was saying, for the future generations.
Also, let's talk about you talk about reconciliation. We talk about community engagement. What are some of the other issues that will be looked?
Sure. So a couple of the other issues that I am really interested in looking at, and am committed to in the work that I do, as my career and as my job, is looking at restorative justice practices within the schools. As we know, young people, post-COVID, there are so many social emotional issues and behaviors that we're seeing because of the stay-at-home mandates that were really overseen us within the past 2 years. And we're seeing suspension rates, we're seeing poor retention rates from students. And so what does that look like if we were to approach restorative justice, which is really a framework that allows students and teachers and those that are involved in behavioral issues that happen on campus to really build understanding and build healing without having to take the student out of the classroom. And so that is something that I'm interested in. It's something that I'm actively pursuing within the work. And then also reconciliation. And really when I say reconciliation, I'm talking about the incidents that have happened within the larger Bay Area region that have come out and have been perpetuated by residents of East Palo Alto who have been the perpetuators of hate crime. And to have this conversation honestly means to shed light on that. And I don't think that it is a manner, nor is it productive to point fingers, but I do think that it should be a part of the conversation, and how we build out spaces that can really reconcile some of the things that have happened in our community, and how we can hold ourselves accountable for it, and really do enough and be proactive, so that people who hear about East Palo Alto, they hear about the true things and the things that we are most proud of, while also still being able to hold ourselves accountable for who we are and our actions.
Anything you'd like to add to that, Yuuki? Yuuki's internet is still unstable. Can you hear us, Yuuki? Is there anything you'd like to add? Let me send.
Hello.
Yes, go on.
Hello. I'm so sorry. The one day that my internet decides to fray out. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, I really want to shed light on just like how diverse like the AAPI umbrella really is. And through my reporting, I hope to really look at the different communities within the AAPI umbrella, just because it covers so many people. And I don't want to sort of create this monolithic narrative of this one like specific group that is, as like Tonga mentioned in her previous piece, is like even having like a Asian American Pacific Islander within the same group is like even a fraught issue as well. And so I really like with the work that I want to produce, I really want to highlight and uplift the diverse communities within this umbrella and look at their unique issues and the history behind them, and just generate overall more education about the different communities within the Asian American Pacific Islander communities, and just create more, I guess, understanding amongst ourselves.
We will be talking about on the Talking with Henrietta show, the various issues that the two of you have brought up, along with the goals that you've just now mentioned that we will all be working towards. And the articles that will be written will be discussed on the show. So there'll be a connection between the articles and our topics that are discussed and the work that we'll be doing with the youth. So could the two of you say a little something about how we'll measure the effectiveness of what we'll be doing? What do you think, Tonga Victoria, would be a good measurement for allowing us to see the effectiveness, the people that we're reaching, and the impact that we might have?
Sure. Yeah, I think that this is something that I was thinking about last night, was being able to collect the digital submissions, the art, and then also being able to collect stories within our platform, Facebook. And really, I think the stories themselves will be able to capture some of the impact simply by giving them a platform and giving them exposure to the community. I think that if there is enough noise that is made around a single issue, it then becomes something important enough for communities to talk about in public forums, and then, of course, further downstream, town halls. And I think that this is a good start to that. Obviously, social media allows us to do surveys, conduct surveys, polls, that we absolutely will take advantage of during the 6-month campaign. But I think for the long term is really being able to kind of carve out a space for these conversations to happen that doesn't get mixed or blended with some of the other issues that are occurring within our local sphere. And I think that is an appropriate way to jumpstart this conversation.
Yuuki, anything you would like to add while we still have you here? Can you hear Yuuki? We're talking about the measurements.
Yes, I can hear you.
So what do you think might be a way that we can measure our impact?
Okay.
Anything to add, Yuuki, in terms of how we
For
can?
me, I truly believe that journalism and like I guess the process of journalism is sort of this back and forth between the communities that we're serving and sort of the writing that sort of we're creating. And so really speaking truth to power and really just in search of the truth and understanding of the narratives of the communities that we're covering, and sort of this back and forth conversation between like ourselves, like myself as a writer and a journalist, and with people that I'm interviewing, and really just checking in with them to see how accurately and how truthful we are in capturing their experiences and really centering those experiences is a sort of a great measure of, I guess, for personal success in achieving like what we personally want to do and what the communities that we cover. That's sort of a non-measurable form of success, more of like an anecdotal success. In terms of like the youth submissions, we really want to see the youth and the community come together to sort of collaborate on this, and for just to see like a great number of like community members would mean so much to this campaign, to really show like, while we're living in like such a time where hate is very prevalent. We are working towards a better tomorrow. As cliche as that may sound, but yeah.
Well,
I mean, echoing a lot of what Tonga Victoria said earlier.
I would just like to say it. You said it might sound like a cliche, but I think it's something that is crucial. It's critical. It's hopeful, and it gives us optimism that we can work towards a better tomorrow. And that's why we're doing this campaign to stop the hate, to talk about racial collaboration and racial respect and equality. So we've talked about our campaign, what our goals are, what some of our activities are. And I am especially thankful to the state of California and to the California State Library for giving us the opportunity to do what it is that we're doing. And I'd like to thank the two of you for talking about what you're doing and what we can all achieve working together. So many, many thanks.